about this. This is really my
Okay.
dream.
Okay, I don't, okay, there you are. All right, we are now officially live. Yay! Happy Saturday, everyone, and welcome to Wealth Power Talk. We have a very special edition. We're working on Saturday today, and we have a really special guest, Miss Chari Ogogo. Do I pronounce your last name
Yeah,
correctly?
it's perfect. It's a palindrome, forwards and backwards. It's spelled the same way.
Ah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Shari is here with us, and everyone welcome Shari. She is one of our members, and Shari is someone who I have known for a very long time as
Yes.
well. And Shari is going to share some really powerful information here with us about having lines of credit for your business. And that is so important today because as entrepreneurs, I think we all know that one of the biggest challenges is always what? Running out of money. And if we don't have the best credit, sometimes that could affect us. So what Shari's going to be sharing with us is how sometimes we don't need our own credit in order to be able, right, to get lines of credit for your business. Correct? Is that right, Shari?
Well, I think that one of the misnomers is that we just think that most people, when they start off their businesses,
Mm-hmm.
they generally use their personal credit. And what happens when we use our personal credit versus when we develop a business is that there's a lot of hits because every time you open up a new line of credit or a credit card or something like that, that affects your credit score. And so eventually what will happen is if you have a few lates or anything like that, it's going to mess up your credit. So one of the advantages I see of being able to set up what I call a additional stream of income is to
Mm-hmm.
set up a business profile. So that's what I'm really wanting to really stress on that. I think if you have good credit, you can always, like I said, you can always do what they call personal guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
Personal guarantee is something you know, like if you have a SBA, that's an example of really having to put all your eggs out there and sharing it and being able to have them to control that. So if you default on it, they take your house, they take your
Yeah.
business, they take all of your assets and everything. So, you know, when we look at having just one job, that is a business, by the way. If you may not see it as that way, but it is a business because you get income from that, but you have to work for that. You know, you have to physically work for that. What I'm seeing is that so many people, or particularly women, in fact, women represent probably the highest number of women who are going into business for themselves. There's a lot of statistics on that right now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that they always say, well, get your business, get an EIN, and open up a business account. And those are the two things they always say. However, it's not enough to be able to just do those two things. What you need to start looking at, what is your plan? You know, in terms of the name that you use for your business, what kind of structure you're going to use for your business. If you have a sole proprietor or what's called a partnership, all your personal stuff is linked to that business.
That's right.
It's a very sad thing. So even though it says, oh, I can't do it by myself, I need a partner, everything that you put together there becomes at risk. So probably one of the other things that you can do, you can set up what's called an LLC, limited liability corporation, or you can set up what's called an S corporation. So the entity is a very important part that you have to make that decision. It costs money. There's no question about it either way. There's going to be some money that was involved. But if you're looking for a long-term, let's say 6 months, 9 months, that's a small amount of money to invest, actually, because you're looking to protect your business and also separate it from your personal income, your personal assets, not just income, your assets and everything can be at risk when you don't set it up properly. So that's a good thing. Sometimes CPAs say, well, unless you're making money, you don't need to do anything, just do a sole proprietor. So you might check with your tax person, but look at the long term. Where are you going? Your end game. are you willing to sell your business at the end for more than $1 million or whatever? So you want to set it up right the first time, if you know. So
Right. And I want to
go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
I hear all this. Do you have I don't know why I hear a little bit of background noise. Um, let me see if I can. Do you have Facebook open as well?
No, I don't. I don't
Yeah.
have Facebook.
Okay. Okay. Now I hear it's a little bit better. One of the things I was just going to say, for when you were talking about creating the structure, and I think you're so on point because I think for so many people, a long time ago, when you were able to start a business, people were called solopreneurs. You could really become a sole proprietor. You didn't really need to have the structure. But that has really changed. And I think you're bringing up a really great point because number one, everyone really wants, there's so many lawsuits today. And even though when you're a sole proprietor, everything is at risk. Your home, your bank accounts, everything is at risk. So if someone wants to sue you, they can attach all of that. So by having that limited liability, and it doesn't cost as much today as it used to. You could literally go to LegalZoom and have your a limited liability. You could just start there. And I think it might cost you, I don't know, $100 plus whatever the state fee is, wherever you are. So you mean you're looking at under maybe $300-400, and it's so worth it because it makes you and your business separate entities, and so no one can come and attach any issues to your personal assets. So I agree with you on that one. Even if you're just getting started, it's better to have a correct foundation and start off with an LLC company or S corporation.
Right. The entity is very important because, like you said, it protects you, and you have to look at that.
Yeah.
We're in a world that people sue every day.
Every day.
And so you want to start thinking of that. Another thing that I did is I went through the SBA Learning Center. And they have a lot of information. And as that information, they have things on their women in business. So, of course, they talk about getting an EIN number. And that's don't pay for an EIN number. You can get one directly from IRS. The only thing you do have to give when you decide on getting an EIN number is you will have to give up your Social Security number. But that's because you're a U.S. citizen. If you don't have that, then there's other challenges. But that's the main thing. But the EIN number gives you an employee identification number, or what's called also a tax identification number. So that's a very important thing in order for you to be able to open up a bank account. That's another thing. The other thing that really comes up is, and I got caught up in this, and I want to share this because I did everything like that. But what I failed to do was when I set up my location. And that has to be something that is not necessarily a virtual office, but it needs to be a permanent office. I didn't know that. But that is a very important part because you want to really say, I'm in business. You don't want to say I'm a fly-by-night business or anything like this. You're, like I said, if your end game is that you want to sell and have a business valuation, you want to be able to set it up correctly from the beginning. So I'm telling you personally what I did incorrectly. I went to a virtual office. It's not bad, but guess what? It's going to take me a little while because I'll need to correct that. Then have a physical address, a physical business, not a UPS office. Don't use a UPS office. Don't use your home office, your home business, because again, that will mean that you could be attached there. So choose maybe even you can go to Craigslist or something where they have offices that you can select. You could maybe even go to Rega's. There's several of them, but the main thing is that you want a physical address where either it says there's a suite, but the main thing, a business where now, this is something like what you were saying, what you used to could do, what you can't do now. With the advent of social media, people Google, banks are very smart. Lenders are very smart. They can go in and they can key in your address and everything, and they can see, Is it a virtual office? Is it a mailbox? Or is it a real physical thing? That to me says a lot.
Yeah.
Another thing that you can tell is how many of you have heard of Rocket Mortgage? If you've heard of that, you know they said you just click right here. You don't even need to send in your tax return. I'm just telling you, the technology is such that they don't, I mean, that's what you're up against now. So if you want to really set it up, make sure you remember that it needs to be a physical address. And that's a very important part because, like I said, Rocket Mortgage, they don't even need your tax return. They got all your information right there.
I know, that's amazing.
Yeah, so if you know that technology is there, what about the banks?
That's right.
What about investors? They're going to be able to go right there and they can tell you whether you're legit or not. So that to me is something that I did not know, but I'm telling you that that's an area that you want to make sure that you're clear about, that you have a physical address. Another thing is the name that you choose. Now, I have kind of an interesting name for my business called Be Savvy, Live Wealthy. And that's a mouthful, honestly. But it means something because my life was kind of turned upside down. In fact, a lot of people's lives were turned upside down about 10 years ago. We were over leveraged, whether it was we had too much debt and not enough income coming in, or we had houses that depreciated drastically and we couldn't keep, making those payments. So I learned a lot of lessons. And so from that time in my life, I learned how to improve my own credit score where I didn't have to do payday loans. I actually had to do payday loans. So I can tell you I've had some experiences.
Sure.
So today I can say that I worked on my, what's called my personal credit score. I really did. And one of the things that I learned about the personal is that many of us got credit cards. We love them because it's ease, the convenience. But when we use more than 30% of what our credit limit is, then we suffer because our credit score goes down. Now, if you have a business credit and you use it, doesn't really matter as long as you pay your bills on time or before time. That is the key. And that helps you to make your credit score and your business credit score, which is related to what's called a paydex. And so that's a little different. With the business credit, it's how do you use it? Do you pay your bills on time? You pay those bills on time, your score is going to be up there above 75. The range is anywhere from 0 to 100. 100 is a perfect score. So that's the difference with the business or the paydex. With the FICA, it has all kinds of how do you use it? How long have you had your credit? Do you have a lot of inquiries? And that's where the inquiries come in when you start adding new credit lines. That adds to your inquiries. So you want to keep your inquiries on your personal down very low, less than 4 in the last year or so. That would really help you. A lot of times we say, well, I need a car. And so one of the things, if you're not making more than $35,000 a year, don't buy a new car. Don't buy a new car because it's going to just take up all of your money. For example, you're going to pay for the loan. You're going to pay for insurance, the upkeep, and it's going to roughly cost probably almost $1,000 a month. So that's So you just think about that when we're adding on and you're needing a car. There are other ways that you can do some of the things, like maybe you might want to do some shared economy with Lyft or Uber or something like that. That gives you another advantage versus just saying, I got to have the latest new car, or the latest new gadget. So that's one way that we can kind of shift some of the things that we want to our business. Now that takes a little time. So the thing about getting to the business credit, and let's say I don't want to use my personal. I really want to kind of keep my score up there so I don't really have that impacted. So what I would do, this is something trade lines, one of the key things that you want to do to begin to develop using your EIN or your TIN number is you want to build what's called trade lines. And trade lines, oops, I'm so sorry. My phone is running off. Excuse me.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. This is what happened to me.
No, that's all right. And that's what I do. I just I should have reminded you to put your phone on mute, but don't worry about it. Hey, this is live.
Okay.
We're live. So,
Okay, well, that's life.
Anything can happen.
And getting back to the whole thing of how to build your business credit.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really important part. So once you have the EIN, you have your name, you have a physical address now. Make sure you have that. Another thing, you want to be listed with 411. So reason why, if they call your phone number, don't use your cell phone. You need to have a phone that is listed in 411. So one of the companies that I use was Ring Central. They did it very effortlessly. I got my phone number. It's a local number as well as it is a toll-free number. Mm-hmm. So that makes it really, that I'm a legitimate business. I have that phone number. They can call me and they can leave a message. I get back to them and so forth. But it's not my cell phone number. So a lot of times people forget about that. Oh, let's just call my cell phone. You might be able to use what they call, I think it's called VOP. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That's VOLP, I think it is.
Yeah. So that's another option. But the main thing is do not use your personal cell phone because they can tell that it's, the technology is such now. Yeah. So getting back to the idea of trade lines. And some of the trade lines you could get, which is right off the top, is a Visa print. And you might spend maybe $50 or something like that. But it's going to report to the Duns & Bradstreet, which is one of the credit reporting agencies, and to Experian. Business credit. This is what we're talking about. This is how we want to build our business credit. Another thing you can do are companies like Quill. It's QUILL.com. And these allow you to buy a few things, and they also help you to build your credit. So that's two. Another one is Uline, ULINE.com. They provide, they're probably similar to Staples or, something like that. However, you're looking to build your credit. So use these particular trade companies, for example. So I said Vista Print, I think it's called Vista
Print.
Quill. They have quill.com, uline.com. Then there's another one that I'm trying to think of right now that I have used. And I'll have to probably send you those. But those are three off.
Or you can, what we can do? You can post them in the Facebook group. Just post the different links so that people can have access to them a little later on after we talk. Yeah, that'd be great. So with these, they're using your NIN number, correct? They're not. You have to use that number, and that's how they're tracking your and not your social security number.
Right. That's the key thing is that when you're filling out for these trade lines and you're starting off small, you're not trying, and probably in about 6 months, if you've got 6 or 7 more of them, you built your paydex score. Mm-hmm. And that's the key thing. That's what the goal is, because that allows you to now get the cash, the other kinds of levels. There's several tiers of levels that you want to go to build your credit and where you actually have cash. So the first thing, of course, we're doing is we're creating just like when you first started off your first credit card or something like that. But now we're using trade lines to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And usually they are net 30, meaning you pay them well within that 30-day time period. Mm-hmm. Keep it small and do it more than once or twice, so that this will end up reporting to the trade, to what they call the credit agencies. In this case, it would be Dun & Bradstreet, which is kind of like one of the premier ones that's been around for more than 200 years. So that's a very important thing. We've all heard of Experian. And so that's another one that for business, that would be very important. You want to kind of be very systematic about how you increase and have 6 to 7 trade lines. And now, like I said, I will post that in the, on the Facebook for you. The other thing is I will also go back over the steps that you need to do. And number one, we said we want to give ourselves a company with our name. Make sure it's a clear name, and I'll see if I can find that link for you as well. A name for your business. You get your EIN number.
Mm-hmm. And where do they go? Where do they go?
IRS.
From the IRS, okay.
Right. You can actually go to EIN and only go to the government one, because all the others will make you pay for it.
They'll charge, yeah, because it's free.
It's a free service.
You don't need to do it. You pay for it, correct.
Don't forget to also register with your state. Now, I had to register with my state, and I live in one of those that are cost a few bucks. But you have, but it's important. You want, and also you want to make sure you have, depending on the kind of business, do you have, are you registered? So state is a really good one to make sure that you're registered, that you have the legal capacity, certification, whatever licenses or anything like that. You want to be legit, because number one, if you ever have to pay taxes, it's far much more than when you do it right the first time.
Right.
So that I really want to encourage you for that. The other thing, the EIN number, they will give you what's called a taxpayer. It's a different one where you pay your taxes to the federal. The same thing with the getting through the state. You'll need to make sure you go to the Secretary of State and file with them, and make sure you do that one right, depending upon whether you're doing an LLC or an S Corp. So those are very important. They will fax over, or you can actually, they will email you now. So most of them will email you information. So those are the things that I see that you have to have, and making sure that you have a physical address. Physical address. That
and
is
you,
so.
And you can, when you talk about physical address, you can actually use some of the co-working spaces, correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
I know I used to have one in California, and it was, I think I was paying, maybe $100, but you could get, they have different plans, because it's based on, like, if you want to use an office, you might have, let's say 20, I think I remember paying $150 a month, and I had 20 hours that I could actually use the conference room, and then I could use the address. So I literally would meet clients there, and now there's probably in every single city, they now have these co-working or spaces where you can actually do that. So it's a physical address so that you could come and meet clients. So that would be okay, correct?
Yes, it is, because one is it's set up for business.
Right. It's set up for business.
And that's what you want, whether you need to copy or the Wi-Fi, whatever it is, you need to have that, because that's what, says that you're legitimate.
Right.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you very much for that. Another thing you want to consider once you have your trade lines is to check your credit. You need to have where you and check your credit. You can sign up. This is interesting, and I just found this out. You can sign up with what's called the Dun & Bradstreet, but go for the government SAM, and you don't have to pay for signing up with the Dun & Bradstreet.
Oh,
so
that's a definitely,
and that means
a good trick or tip.
Yeah, because that's something that you really want to make sure that you have going for yourself. Is having that access, having the reporting and monitoring. Now, there's companies that I've used that they do charge a little bit of money for that, but it's worth it, because you can tell almost immediately. Just like when you monitor your own credit, you need to monitor your own credit. You need to know what is going on with your credit, who is, and I've had identity theft, so I do know that it's a very real thing. And I was very fortunate in a sense because it was mail theft. So it wasn't just, and yeah. So the Department of Justice got involved with it anytime. And so they found the person and everything. So they cleared that up. But nevertheless, that's a real issue. And so we have to protect our business and we have to protect our personal.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
both are very, very important. And I want to go back to that co-working station. I think that's an excellent idea. I think that that's a really good thing to do, especially if you live in the larger cities. You can find that as and you travel. That makes it also easier for you to be able to meet
And
clients.
there's different organizations where I know, I'm trying to remember the name of this particular company, but they actually had offices in other cities. So you could, like, let's say if you're a member, and you went to, I don't know, let's just say you went to New York, they would have a headquarters there. And if you wanted to meet clients, you could meet clients there. So there's definitely advantages to having that, especially if you are in business. So
Right.
now you talked about, I know you and I've had conversations offline. You talked about this process of building up your business credit is probably going to take anywhere from 6 to 8 months. Is that correct? Is that right?
I think, the 6 to 8 months is actually getting them reported and you building your paydex score. And as I said, the paydex score is the critical one. The difference, I'll just share this with you. A personal credit, let's say a credit card that you might get a limit of 5,000, maybe 10,000. Okay. With the business, when you start building your business, it's usually 5 times the amount of the personal. So that's one of the advantages that you have. You don't want to use it up like that.
Right.
But I'm just saying is that now you have your limit. Your limit is a lot more. It's 5 times what you would normally receive. You can expedite this if you want to. They have companies, and I'm familiar with some of those companies. But you will need to give a personal guarantee. And so if you don't want to give a personal guarantee, then you will take a little bit longer time. But if you've got to have it, I need it like yesterday, they are out there, they're going to charge you anywhere from 9 to 10%.
Okay.
So let's say if it's 50,000, you figure 4,500, 5,000 right up the top for that convenience. So we have to look at, are there other sources? Yes, there are other sources. Right now, women in business, there's a whole link with the not just the SBA, but there are a lot of alternative lending, and I'm going to send that link to you as well. Yeah, you can get a small, let's say seed money, let's say 5,000, 2,500 to 5,000, and you may only have to pay 1%.
Wow, nice.
So that would be alternative, and these would be resources for women. There are a number there's one group called 37 Angels, and it's under resources for women. Another one is called National Organization of Women in Business, and that's been around for quite a while, but they have a tremendous amount, they have a number of resources. So if you're looking for $1 million up, I mean, this is serious now.
Wow, that's big money.
That's the kind of stuff you want to know.
Yes.
And if you've got a good idea, let's say you have the best nutrition, you want to be able to make a difference in women's lives so that they're not, if they wanted to do better with their meal planning, because that's a big deal. Meal planning, we eat on the run, most of us.
Right.
And if you can prepare meals that are healthy and that they can be transported, wherever you go, you're getting the nutrition that you need. That is something that is very needed. So I'll just give you some ideas of some things that I've read. But looking at women in business is a real, I will send that link because I think it's really important when giving your ideas of things. And if you're looking to make, I want 2 million, unlimited, what I don't want to say unlimited, but depending upon the idea that you have, we want to move from just having what I call the hobby business. The hobby
Yes.
business is that you're not bringing in income every month. You're not building it up. And if you are at that level, that's nothing to be ashamed of. It really isn't, because we got to start somewhere.
Somewhere.
Got to start
Yeah.
small. So one of the things that I was thinking about, and we had a conversation, was about assets. Do you have assets other than your house, or if you're renting, or your car?
Mhm.
That is something you want to start thinking about, building your assets. And one of the things that you could start off, it's kind of a small one. I think, Cheryl, you have the $5 stock program.
Mhm.
That's a great way to start off getting your stocks together, particularly if they pay a dividend. You can spend, maybe if you have $500 or $1,000, you could buy 10 different stocks,
Mhm.
and begin to have those that pay a dividend. It's a small amount, but guess what? They build up
Yes.
over time. If you even have a little extra money, you can do something called the peer-to-peer lending, and you can actually lend to other people. Maybe it's $25, but if you got 40 people paying you $25 a month,
That's right.
I mean, come on.
And that's passive income, right?
That's
That is
income.
passive income, just like dividends. You're not actually
Right.
having to do it. It's coming into you every quarter, or if you're doing the peer-to-peer, it's coming in every month. Absolutely. And I think I'm glad we're talking about this, because this is what I have been sharing too to a lot of people, is that as I look back on my entrepreneur career, I wish I had spent more time on putting together a business that really developed that passive income. And I do, in a sense, because I have books and all of that, but you got to keep creating new books, new something to create that passive income. And so that's why I love the stock market, and I love real estate too, because that's another way of making that passive income as well. And if you have a business, it's your business, you want that business to be creating passive income for you all the time. So it's not like you have to have systems in place so that the passive income is being created for you.
That is so true, because I've been involved in the stock market for a while, and
Yes,
that's
you
what really got
have.
me really excited. Now
Yes.
I look through my account. I check my account. I'm one of the active kind of traders, but I learned some new skill sets, and I started learning about options.
Mhm.
And for me, options was like hands down the way I needed to go, because I wanted to be able to see the money coming in.
Yeah.
And to me, that was it. It was hard, and particularly we had a lot of down in October, November, and December
Oh,
recently.
yes.
So that scared a lot of people. But I came back, and I really worked with a mentor, with a group of people who primarily trade in options. I don't do a lot of what I call extensive things. I do varied spreads. My account setup, my taxable, non-taxable accounts, all of them have spreads. So I'm able to see defined income. And I love that.
Right.
But it is something that I had to learn. I went to a seminar recently with a brokerage company. They had a free one. And so it gave me the confidence to be able to talk about it and say that to me is a one stream of income that I can count on every month. And my goal for $500 a month. Well, if I do more like 2,000 or 3,000, I'm not going to cry.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm just sharing is learn some skills. Be open to learning something new.
Yeah.
I think that to me is what gives us the sense of not the idea of retirement now is not the same as what my parents or my grandparents were talking about. Retirement today is you've got to be willing to see having more than one stream of income.
Yeah.
And that to me is what really sets you apart from people who, I still work on a job. There's no question about that. That keeps me active. But I'm saying that's not my only source of income. And
Correct.
that's what you really want to keep in mind, is that we want to keep, to continue to create multiple streams of income. Now, if you've got a more than a single home and you've got a multiple, multi-unit, great. I mean, that is something that you can, if you have your 401k, you can start investing in what they call the REITs and so forth like that. That gives you income.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a little hesitant on that. Like some people are hesitant on stock market. I'm hesitant on those REITs. So everybody,
But no, you can
you know,
actually get real property now. If you have a self-directed IRA, you don't have
mm-hmm,
to buy a REIT. You just have to put it with a custodian that will
mm-hmm,
allow you to buy individual property. But because so they do
okay,
have that today, and you actually can go out and buy a home and have renters in it, or you can buy a duplex or multifamily unit. But you can't go through the regular brokerage firms like a Charles Schwab or a TD Ameritrade, because those are all primarily stocks and bonds and mutual
mm-hmm,
funds. But there are other uh, custodians out there that will allow you to invest in alternative investments. You can buy gold, you can buy currency, you can purchase real estate. So you just have to know where exactly to go to in order to do that. But that is now available for people. So you don't have to buy a REIT, because a REIT is basically like a stock in a sense.
mm-hmm.
It trades like a stock. And what is a REIT? It stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. And
Right,
it trades very similar to a stock. And so you
right.
don't want to go. I mean, it's great. Sometimes the REITs pay out really great dividends, because I think the number is 90% of the money that is
Mm-hmm.
generated from the property has to be paid out to the shareholders. So,
Right.
um, so yeah, if you don't like REITs, you don't have to do that. There's other alternatives if you want to use some of your IRA money to invest in property today. But
Right. I recently saw that was I've used what's called Intrust, and they're a third
yes,
party.
they're in
And,
Oakland. Yes, in
right.
trust. And then there's another one called Equity Trust. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing. Very similar, where you can invest that IRA money into other things. Yes.
Right. 'Cause that's another way. Again, you're creating assets, and so
Yeah.
that is the and I've been a little reluctant because I just did not particularly like the hands-on what do you call it, management.
Oh,
And
okay.
that to me it's
That's
like,
important. Yes.
you've got to have the fortitude for that.
Yes. Yes.
That to
I
me is,
agree.
so that's kind of like why I kind of like, I'm not so sure, but it is something that is out there. And when we're creating assets, and if you're younger, of course, that's something that you can actually really make that work for you. So I think that
Yeah.
that still is a good possibility.
Hmm.
And are there any other questions you could think of? I'm trying
Um,
to think.
yeah. I mean, I guess the thing, because I really wanted us to help women to understand that money is available for their businesses. It's just a matter of you putting the foundation in place properly. And that's why I'm so glad we're having this discussion, because I think a lot of times when we start a business, we do start it more like a hobby, and we
Mm-hmm.
don't have everything in place so that when we're ready to take it to the next level, we're not ready to take it to the next level because we haven't done the first things first to get everything set up properly. But I
Mm-hmm.
think the thing I'm really just to emphasize here is that there is money available, because a lot of times people think, well, I can't get money. I don't have access to capital to grow my business. But that isn't true. Believe it or not, there's now more and more money available for women. I think, a friend of mine said to me, this is going to be the year. I think he said for the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be the year for women. And I agree. I think he's right on that. I agree that
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to start to see more money being made available for women for entrepreneurship. I think we've already starting to see more women getting involved in politics. And when more women are in politics, see, I think that's huge, because when more women are in politics, then they will start to look at the laws and the regulations to help more women to make sure that those things are being covered for us to have access to capital for our businesses and and health and all that other stuff. So I think we are going to see this huge revolution
Mm-hmm.
with us. And so knowing this information now is
Mm-hmm.
important. And I think what you shared to us about starting fresh, doing the right thing. And I guess my other thing I would say to ask you is, if you're already in business, it's not too late, right? You can start
Oh no.
fresh and start to implement these things in place.
Yeah, particularly let's say if you're started off as a sole proprietor.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, it's not like it's too late, but you don't, you know what I'm saying? All you have to do is have one bump in the road and it can really cascade and dominoes, you know.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
so to me, that would be one area that you would want to move towards, is looking at, and probably even talking with, wasn't a good business consultant on that, who
Mm-hmm.
could actually guide you on that. There's several through SBA, you know, because we pay tax dollars for that kind of
Yeah.
agency. And
Do you have to
so
pay for that? Did you pay for
no,
that?
it's free. It's free.
Yeah. I don't think
That's
we
what I'm talking.
utilize that enough.
Mm-hmm. So
I know
that's a
I
good,
did not. I
yeah.
I should have utilized the SBA because they have SCORE, where they have these people who are retired business
Mm-hmm.
executives who you can go there and make an appointment with them, and they can give you ideas and put you on the right track and help you, right? They're like mentors. It's amazing that we don't. Yeah, I want to encourage women here to start using these resources because we're not utilizing them to the best of our ability. And I think it does make a difference. And you get to network because these people know other people, and you never know if they can direct you or put you in connection with someone to help your business. So I agree with you on that. And they have so many programs with SBA, and SBA
Well,
for women particularly.
that's the key thing, is that we can no longer be in a vacuum and be by
Yes,
ourselves.
I
And
agree.
I think that's the reason why when I want to give the links about women in business, which comes, a lot of it is you know, the SBA kind of links, but there are also, like I said, alternative financing, and you know, looking at the Paydex versus the FICA, because that could be, for me, when I started calculating my net worth, I looked at that and I said, you're doing pretty good, Chari, but you could be doing better.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's when I really said I was ready to really go for the business, because I went from where I was underwater with my own home.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me was a real eye opener, that I had worked all those years.
Yes. Yeah.
And what was I going to show for it? So that's what really put me on a path to really turn my life around. And so now when I'm looking at my mom, my daughter, and so forth, the people who need something to me, I want to be able to pass that baton and say, I'm not giving you just debt. I'm giving you something that's going to take you forward, so you don't have to start from square one. So that to me is where, you know, although I'm older, but I still see the value of being able to talk with other women, talk with my peers, and, you know, and say, these are things that we need to take control of, and that is our financial future and our well-being. Those are so critical. It's not just the money. It is our well-being.
Yes.
And when you get that in your mind, you're just like, oh my gosh, I never connected. If you have enough money, you can stay in your home until whatever. But if you don't have enough money, you can be out on the streets. And I'm telling you, nobody really wants to be out on the streets. You know? And I'm just saying that. So I'm a real proponent of that. I've seen, you know, in and around myself, women who are millionaires. I mean, so it's not just, you know, I'm not there, but in terms of access to information, you are a millionaire or a billionaire. So we have to start to set our sights up bigger, but we want to set the foundation correctly. And that's what I'm really talking about, is creating a foundation that you can protect your family, you can protect your wealth, and you can also pass it on and give the information correctly
Yeah.
so that they can do better and not so much depend on so many financial advisors, because you have to remember financial advisors get paid, you know, off whatever size of your estate or whatever. So you want to be able to have the information, be knowledgeable, so that you can make the decisions that you want, not something that somebody's going to make you take.
Right.
And we see a lot of this right now, where we might have settled for some political choices that we don't particularly like, and now we're trying to kind of change that and move it in a direction so it's more central. And I think that's what we are really looking at. And one of the ways is when we understand how money is used, how how we can generate money, not just work for it, but generate money passively or through multiple streams of income.
Yes.
That to me says a lot about our control of our, just like our bodies, control of it, and not leaving somebody else to make those decisions for us.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes we find we're in a culture that may not support us, but as you said earlier, that it is changing. The winds are changing. And so now women need to have the conversations. We need to have these ongoing conversations about, well, how are we doing? Are you accountable? Do you have an accountability partner? Somebody who's saying, you said you're going to this here. What are you doing to make sure you're reaching your particular goal? Do you have a 3-month plan? Do you have a 6-month plan? So those are the kinds of things that you want to be able to say every day. When you get up, do you have a plan for what you're going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a planner, because that's what I went to school for. I'm planning, in my field in healthcare. But I go in there, and there's what I want to say, there's always something that's awry. But I have a plan that I'm going to make the best of that day. And for me, that's what keeps me going. I might have had a little mishap last week, but this week, this is the new week.
Right.
Sun's out. And that's what we have to go with. We have to stay around positive, upbeat people.
Yeah.
And being around that helps you to be able to navigate the disappointments, because there are going to be some disappointments.
Absolutely.
I can't begin to tell you.
Yes.
We have them, but you have to have a plan. And when that plan doesn't work the way you thought, go back to the why. What's your why for doing it?
Mm-hmm.
My why is, at the end of the day, this business that I'm creating will be worth more than $2.5 million.
Woo! Love it. That's a huge goal.
Yes. And I'm saying that not because I'm thinking it's going to happen, but I'm saying it is. Even if you have to start, this is something that you can do if you really are struggling. Getting a secured credit card. I'm going to tell you why. Because that is something that you don't have to worry about. Will I get approved for it or not? Because if you put down $500, you're gonna get that credit card with $500 limit. And I'm just saying that these are small things that you can do. I started off having to do that, and eventually became where it was unsecured, and so that's good. I got a bigger, credit limit. But I'm saying is that is one way that you can go up to 5,000 if you have that. And by the time you show that and you have your business, boom, guess what? You can get 10 times that. Okay.
Right. You get 50,000 or 100,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and you have more than one card or whatever. But that's something that you can think about when you're saying, I can't do this. But I'm saying the small steps. Taking the small steps can build to the bigger things.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so, I can't say too much more than that.
No, I think you have done, this has been such a great well-powered talk, and I want to thank you so much because you have really hit upon so many great things. I think a lot of times as women, maybe we did go through a rough patch, and we sometimes feel that we're not going to be able to get back on track again. And I think what you've said today is, yeah, you are. You're going to be okay. You know, you went through that rough patch, but it's not the end of the world. And you can start to take these very small baby steps to get back on track. And you're living testimony of that. And, you know, because yeah, 2008 and 2009 hit a lot of people in a really hard way. And some people didn't recover or have not yet really recovered to the extent that they were back then. But that doesn't mean it won't happen, right? But you gotta plan for it. And I think you hit something again. See, I too am a planner. I normally will write down every day what my day is going to be. Like I'm going to say if I have phone calls I need to make, or I'm working on this project. And I think, you know, if I'm working on a new book, like today I woke up this morning and said, I think I'm going to start working on a new book. And so I haven't written a book since 2016. So this is 3 years ago. And I said, I think I'm going to start working on a new book. I kind of already have the idea in my mind. And so I said, okay, this afternoon, I'm going to start planning this new book out. So now every day from whenever I start the project, I know that I'm probably going to spend an hour or two every day before I get my day started writing this new book. Mm-hmm. So that's you know, you have to sit down and you have to plan out what is it you want? What is your end game? So you said you had an end game. You said, I want this business to be worth $2.5 million. So you have already, you know what you want. You know what it's going to look like. So now it's all about putting the puzzle together to get to that end game. So, okay, what do I need to create to get that $2.5 million? Well, I'm going to need to have access to capital. I'm probably going to need $100,000 cushion, or you know what I mean. So you're saying to yourself, these are things that I need to start implementing in order for me to have that end game. And I think that's how we all need to start thinking: is what is that end game? I think a lot of us don't have an end game in mind, which is why we don't get there. Mm-hmm. Because we're so busy living day to day. But you have to take time to plan out what is it that you truly, truly want, and what does it look like at the end of the day? Because if you don't do that, next year will come around and it will look the same as it did the following year, unless you do something different. And that's why today is this, this is why I started this group, because I wanted people like you to come on and share and give us ideas, give us tips. Some of us live in this little negative bubble, but we need positive people to come around us and to share with us, like, okay, yeah, I went through it too, but I could get out of it. So I'm so happy you're here. How can women get in touch with you? Do you do any coaching for any women who want to maybe learn about building up their business credit? Is that something that you do?
Well, I do have. On my website, I do have, you can connect with me right on my website. I have how to build both your credit, your personal credit, rebuild that, as well as creating for your business. So I do have Monetize Your Passion to Profit. So okay. I do have a course that I have that's ongoing where I talk about the EIN number, and right. I talk about business ideas and so forth. So I do have that available.
Can you put that in the,
yes.
You put all that information in all your links, your websites, put everything, how people can get in contact with you underneath this video, because, people are going to come and they're going to look at the video. So it'd be great to have all that information right underneath it, and then they can just click on it and get access to you.
Okay. So now, will I put that in the Facebook, or shall I do it? I'll do it in the Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, do it right in the Wealth Contessa group. Put it when we're done. You're going to see the video. It's going to be right there, the recording. You can just put it right underneath that.
Okay, will do. All right.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Thank you, Chari. We 1 hour, perfect timing. I think.
I love this.
I know we could be on here forever. I know, but it's Saturday.
Maybe we'll do another segment.
Yeah. If there's we can do a part two.
part two and really find out where people are and say, okay, we had this number of people. So I'm really going to be interested in knowing and how people are doing. And if they have any specific questions, just feel free to ask me, and I
Yeah.
love to get back to people and give people information.
Yeah.
And that's how we grow as networking and growing in community, because this is a community. So we
Correct.
want to be able to help one another. Thank you
Yeah,
again.
yes, you are a wonderful mentor. So thank you for sharing your knowledge. I mean, I'm excited. I think you have just given us so much great information today. So I really appreciate that, and thank you for taking the time on a Saturday morning to do this.
Well,
But
thank you.
this is why you're here. This is your purpose.
Hey, thank you so much,
All
Cheryl. You
right.
have a fabulous day. Thank you all for listening.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you. So everyone, thank you guys for taking the time to watch this recording. Or if you're here live, thank you for being here and taking the time. And Chari, Farmer Ogogo, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here to share your knowledge and your wisdom. And I know you are going to impact so many people with the information that you share today. So with that, I want to say goodbye to everyone. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.